Hey guys, welcome to my second upload of the day, BBTV. And today I'm going to be looking at the football predictions, my predictions for who finishes where in the Premier League for this coming season. Before I start, I'm just donning my Jamaica shirt because the ladies played against Colombia in the Women's World Cup. Unfortunately, they didn't get through. They fell short 1-0, so that's why I've got my shirt on representing my birthland. Not my birthland, my parents' birthland. But yeah, so English, Jamaican, that's me. Right, anyway, let us get into the predictions for next season. I did do one yesterday. Luckily, I didn't upload it because I just squashed it because I had Chelsea high up the table, but because of this injury news to Nkunku, that sort of made me rethink my position of where Chelsea are going to be ending up next season. So let's start with the bottom. So for me, Sheffield United, you're going to finish rock bottom. Just game up, but you're going to be that down again. And like West Bromwich Albion used to be back then, the yo-yo team. I see them as being the yo-yo team for next season. They haven't really strengthened, and can't remember who their manager is. Is it Higginbottom or someone like that? But yeah, not good enough for me. I don't think you haven't done enough to secure your spot in the Premier League. Luton, another one, great story. Luton, first time back in the Premier League since the days of Ricky Hill. I think this was years ago. Oh no, Luton haven't been in the Premier League. I think Coventry have. Luton haven't. I think this is the first time Luton are in the Premier League. Ricky Hill was before the Premier League actually began. So small stadium, not a lot of household names. I don't think they've done enough as well, getting in the right players. So they may surprise me, like do a Brentford, but I can't see it myself, and I can see them going straight back down. And for the 17th, 18th position, sorry, Wolverhampton Wanderers, that's going to be you, mate. There's always a surprise package. There's a bit of discontent with their manager at the moment. I heard that he's talking about walking. Maybe he's not being back the way he thinks he should be. They lost their talisman, Jimenez, and they lost a very good midfielder in Neves. Those two sort of made them tick. I just don't see, and they were struggling last season. I think they'll struggle again this season. And in 17th, I'm going to put Nottingham Forest. Again, and a team made a lot of signings last season. Maybe they'll gel. I like their manager. I think they've got a decent manager, but they've had a poor pre-season. They've been getting thrashed, hit left, right, and centre. And I know that they bought a lot last season, but they still haven't strengthened in the right areas for me. And I can see them just treading above water. And so in 16th, I'll put Everton, but there's a caveat to that. I'll put them in 6th, but they can get a bit relegated. It all depends on how the FA or the Premier League, act, because they got this fine hanging over their heads at the moment. This financial fair play, which a lot of teams thought that it should have been exercised last season. So if the Premier League, for instance, give them a 10-point deduction or something like that, then they could be in deep water, and that could be the difference between surviving and staying up. But for now, I'll say that if there isn't a points deduction, they'll stay up. If not, then they probably would take the place of Wolverhampton Wanderers. And in 15th, I'm going to put Bournemouth. Bournemouth are trying to be a bit ambitious. They got some good American owners coming in, and they're trying to get the right players. And the story about Bournemouth that a lot of people may or may not know, they could have had Nicholas Jackson playing for them. The guy's doing so well at Chelsea, but he failed a medical, and that's why he didn't go to Bournemouth. So it's like what might have been. So who they got to score their goals next season? Could they rely on the ex-Chelsea guy Solanke to get them the goals? I'm not so sure. In 13th, I got Brentford. Brentford, they've been punching above their weight a lot. So there's going to come a time where they come unstuck. A lot of people are getting used to the way that they play at the moment. So I feel that without the Luca Toni, I call him Ivan Toni. Yeah, Luca Toni is the ex Italian guy. Keep saying his name. Yeah, Ivan Toney. Without him in the team, I think they may struggle a little bit. But you never know. They've coped in the past. They've got a good manager in Frank. They may surprise me, but I just feel that this season, next season, the season where they're going to struggle a bit. And then just above them, I'm going to put Fulham. The Polina is out. I'm not sure how long he's going to be out for. Mitrovic is unhappy at the club as well. Again, those two are quite vital to the way they play, and without those two, then they may struggle. Burnley, I'm going to put just above Fulham. I think Burnley got a good manager. He changed their playing style from that Brexit football that what's his name, the Everton guy, used to play when he used to manage them. Sean Dyche, that's him. But it's going to be gradual. It's going to be steady for them. I think they'll survive, and I think they'll only get better because I do rate Company as a young manager. Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace, I'll put them up there next. Hodgson's got a unique style of playing which makes them a bit more difficult to beat, and they're going to be having Lewis Hall probably coming to them. Obviously Zaha has gone, so that's going to be a big miss. They brought in that Franca, the guy where Chelsea was linked with. They probably need to get in another goal scorer for me. I still think they're a bit light on goals, and that's their Achilles heel at the moment, scoring goals. And then West Ham just above them. West Ham may finish a bit lower, maybe being a bit generous because they lost Declan Rice this year. They're going to be bringing in Alvarez. I think they've agreed a deal with Alvarez to replace him. And they've also, Samaka's gone, so they'll need to get in another striker. They talk about Broha, they'll be looked at. Matt Tominey is somebody who I think they're going to get in as well. Looking at the Manchester Maguire, he's another one who's looking at. They're going to be playing Europa League football next season as well, so they're going to be juggling the two again next season. So mid-table for them, I think. And then Brighton finishing in the top half of the table again. I don't think they'll do as well as they did last season. Obviously, Caicedo hopefully will be at Chelsea by then. McAllister they've lost. They've got a good recruitment team who can bring in the right players, but for me, it's the fact that they're going to juggle being in Europe that they're not used to, not being in Europe at all. I think this is the first time that Brighton have been in Europe, actually. So to juggle European football with Premier League football and others, I think it's going to be too much for the squad. Not a big squad at Brighton, so it just takes a couple of injuries or fatigue or whatever, and they will fall down the table. Same with Aston Villa. Haven't been in Europe for a while. They're playing in the Conference League. They've brought in a couple of recruits. Diaby, very good player, and they still got good goal scorers in Ollie Watkins. So they've got the firepower. They've got a nice balance, and Emery is a very good manager. They'll go far in Europe because he's very good at taking teams. He's got a good European track record, so I think they'll do well in Europe. But that can come at a cost of how they perform in the Premier League. So another steady, solid season for Villa, but just a bit falling short. Spurs, I've put them generously. I've put them in 7th. Could go either way for Spurs. Pogba, Tuku, or whatever his name is. He's coming in as their manager after a successful spell at Celtic, but being successful at Celtic, Steven Gerrard, and being successful in the Premier League, 2 different kettles of fish. A lot depends on Harry Kane's situation, actually. If Harry Kane does go, I could see them being lower down in the league, and because they brought in Maddison, I think he's going to do well there. We'll see, but I can't see them challenging just outside, but they'll be playing Conference League football next season. Then up next is Newcastle. I've put Newcastle just outside in 6th, and again, that goes back. Okay, they've brought in some good buys. They've brought in Harvey Barnes. They've brought in Livramento, ex-Chelsea player, and there's another player. His name escapes me at the moment. Who's the other player they brought in? It's gone out of my head. But so they have strengthened in good areas. But I just feel that playing Champions League football, it takes a lot of energy. It drains you a lot, and because they haven't played that for a while now, it is going to be, after playing a big night against Barcelona or Real Madrid, then having to adapt to playing against Bournemouth away or something like that. It always takes a different sort of mindset, and it takes getting used to. And so that's why I think they're going to finish just outside. It's top 6 still. I did have Chelsea in a second, but because of the two big injuries, especially the one that in Cuckoo now, I just think the luck's against us once again. And I think I'm going to put Chelsea down to fifth. I've dropped them from second to fifth because it was on the back of that one injury. Because Eve's a guy who I think would have scored a lot of goals for Chelsea. Now, still waiting to see who's going to get the goals. Nicholas Jackson can score the goals, I think, but we need help from the other players. Sterling has got to step up for me, and people like Mudryk has got to be more consistent, and that may be the issue again in this coming season about the amount of goals that Chelsea score. But I just feel that because one game a week, and the whole week training with Pochettino, I think that's why Chelsea are going to have a more successful season. And fifth isn't okay. It's obviously we want to be challenging, but fifth still gets us in the Champions League for next season. A lot of people have got to realise that because of the way that they're going to be restructuring the Champions League. So with our coefficient records, fifth will be enough. And then in fourth place now it's Manchester United. Manchester United have, they've got in that Rasmus Haaland, and they've got a new goalkeeper in Nana. So they'll be playing Champions League football, but they're used to playing Champions League football, so it's not a big adjustment for a team like Manchester United. And in third place, I've got Liverpool. Again, this can go either way because with Liverpool, they've got a brand new midfield. Henderson's gone, and Milner, and those were good talismans for them. These are people with experience who Klopp used to come. They didn't used to play all the time, but when they need that bit of experience in these games, they'll do it because they've got a brand new midfield, and because he hasn't got a whole week to work with them. It may go one way or the other. I don't know, but with their firepower up front, Salah looks like he's going to be staying now. Then I think that firepower up front is good enough, and they will always score on a consistent basis. That's why I've put in third. Arsenal, I've put in second place. They'll once again fall short. It's going to be a bit of a harder season for Arsenal next season, and that's because again, Champions League football. Last season they could afford to rest some of their players and just get them ready for the Premier League onslaught, because the Europa League they could play a sort of a weaker side, but in the Champions League you can't afford to do that. You have to play a strong side. So is this squad going to be strong enough? In a couple of injuries, 2 or 3 injuries, they may struggle, but if they can keep most of their players fit, then I think they'll challenge again. And then Man City, I just can't see anyone touching Manchester City at the moment. They've strengthened even further. They've gone out and bought the best young defender, arguably the best young defender out there in Gabriel. Okay, they've lost Riyad Mahrez, but the boy, what's his name? The guy scored. What's his name? The guy scored in the Charity Shield. Who Cole Palmer. He's ready to step up, and that's what they do. They can bring Pep nurses the youngsters and brings them in at the right time. Alvarez is there waiting as well. He's another goal scorer. They still got the likes of Haaland, so yeah, they're still going to be the team to beat for next season. So that's my predictions for the upcoming season, the 2023-24 season. Do you agree with me? What positions do you think need juggling around? Where do you think Chelsea are going to finish? All these questions need to be answered, so stick them all in the comment section below. And don't forget, as always, to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you'll be notified every time I make a new video. So take care for now. Bye-bye.